Welcome back to It's Only Money here on your radio. I'm Ryan, and I'm from the Monsters in the Morning on Real Radio 104.1. But this show is not about me. No, this show is about finances, financial advising, having a general good time with my buddies here, Tammy and Scott Brown from Edgewater Family Wealth. How are we doing this morning, gentlemen?
Doing great. How
Good
are you?
morning. Good morning.
It is a beautiful, beautiful day on the day that you're listening to this, audience members. Just one of those, like, it's going to be a good weekend kind of weekend. That's just kind of general, but this one, I really mean it.
This is really going to be a good weekend.
I full on feel it, and if I'm wrong, that you have the benefit of being in the future at this point. If you're listening to it on a podcast or such, and you can email me and say, Ryan, you don't know anything about weekends or money.
I feel like you're a lot smarter today because of your haircut.
The haircut, that'll get me every time, man. Like it's the she's all that is what I do because I wear a lot of free radio T-shirts. People don't talk about the boon in the radio business of just free T-shirts that you get all the time from various corporations, or they make a T-shirt for an event like Earth Day, birthday, then they got a bunch left, and they're like, "Hey, does anybody want these?" I take them every time. So when I get a haircut and put on a button-down shirt, people are like, "Wow, look at you, man!" But it's only because they're so used to me being ugly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, so that's
the strategy.
It's a strategy, and I can only use it's like a magic trick, though. I can only use it like a few times a year, and
you got to pick the right time.
Exactly, you have to use it at the right time. It's like a massage coupon for your birthday.
I love it. So speaking of the right time, I think it's the right time for Tammy and the numbers.
The numbers man.
The number one numbers man in the business. The man, the myth, the legend, the American.
Oh yeah,
Tammy, everybody.
Yes.
This will never get old.
No.
Yes, at least for a year.
Then you'll be like, yeah, I'm an American.
Yay. Give me guns.
Yes.
So speaking of that, we have unemployment. Actually, it's slightly up for the week. Well, the month here that we saw. It's not as well. We don't like unemployment to be high. We all know that.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more of what the market is looking for is to see the unemployment going up.
So it's bad for those people that caused it to go up, but it's good for the potential slowing of the tightening by the Fed. Is that fair to say?
Spoke before, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we spoke the entire I think like 2 episodes ago we discussed how that affects the entire market.
Sure.
And how the Fed would like to see it going up, although
they can't say that.
They can't say
secretly
that.
They say it. Like Powell comes out and says, "Yeah, doggone it, unemployment's up," and then he's high-fiving people on the way back.
Yeah.
Is that how that goes?
I don't know. I haven't been there.
I think that's
in my mind.
In my mind, that's how it
I
goes.
gotta be like, "Hey, Bernanke, blink twice if it's a good thing." Is Bernanke still there? I don't know.
He's logged on.
Oh,
that's all right.
I always felt real smart.
Yeah.
But it's good. You know the name. That's good. That's good stuff.
He's sipping a drink in the island somewhere.
Exactly.
Now, interestingly enough, construction jobs are adding on to the existing jobs right now. We have about 24,000 jobs of construction alone that were added.
Because we're building stuff.
Apparently,
Yeah.
we won that.
Yeah.
We won that.
We won the building competition?
Yeah, every year all the countries get together.
Yeah.
They have a little building competition.
Everybody gets a medal. In this country, everybody gets a trophy. But you see where I'm going.
I didn't get that fax last year. Maybe now because I'm American, I'll get that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Did they not give you your trophy when you got here?
Yeah. Welcome to America. Aren't you awesome?
That sounds good. Yeah. Another thing, the average earning, meaning how much people getting paid, that also rose up, but it did not rise as much as the previous month, which means the wage growth is slowing down.
Which has been the kind of the quote unquote problem with regard to the Fed. We've seen wage inflation, the pressures from increasing wages, especially at the lower end. So, I mean, and that's, I'm about to say that's been a problem, but it's not a problem for people who are getting paid more, right? They're excited about it. It's the first time, I think, in a long time that folks at the lower end of the wage scale have seen their wages creep up faster than folks at the higher end of the wage scale, which, that's kind of a good thing in many ways, especially for those folks who are, maybe 2-income households who are struggling to raise a couple of kids and pay for dentists and insurance and food, etc. So, I think in some ways that's good, but the slowing of that wage increase is probably ammunition for the Fed to maybe consider slowing the tightening or raising of rates.
Yeah, and up till last week, there was some 50, almost, well, let's say 40% of analysts out there thinking, oh, the next hike will be 50 basis points. Now it's down to 30 or 25%.
Yeah, so as usual, there's no major consensus on what's going to happen.
Of course, yeah.
It's all speculation.
All speculation.
Well, what else you got for us? Anything interesting hiding in the numbers this week?
Well, I actually was taking a peek into the saving rate and how much people are saving.
It's down, right?
It is down.
Yeah.
Because spending is the same.
Yeah.
So where did the money come from? It's coming from debt. People are taking on more credit card loans. They're taking more loans in general. And that on its own is not good, because can we guess what is the average credit card APR is right now?
You told me, so I'd be
26.9.
Whoa. Well, it's close. It's about 25%.
Ah,
that's a fantastic guess, though. You went over, though, so you don't win.
Yeah, well, I have bad credit. So.
All right. Ryan doesn't count. Never mind.
I was like, yeah, that's what mine is. That's what a 650 will get you.
Yeah. No, that's interesting that credit card balances are rising, and the rate, which I guess go hand in hand. If the rate goes up, then it's harder to pay down the debt. Therefore, the balances rise.
Yeah. So $1,000 in credit card, which may not seem to be a lot.
Yeah.
You know, if you put it on your card, you'll be paying about $240 a year
on $1,000.
On $1,000.
Oof.
Just to service that debt.
Yeah. So there's stop it, America. Stop doing that. You don't need that thing. Whatever that thing is, you're excited. My son said to me the other day, sometimes I want the thing, and then when the thing's coming, I'm excited that the thing's coming. And then when the thing gets here, I'm really excited to have the thing. And then a week later, it's just a thing.
Just a thing.
Stop buying things.
But things are awesome, Scott.
Things are awesome for a minute, but they're not awesome for a longer period of time than they're awesome. Like you know, you get all the phones, and remember you used to get the what's the iPod? What's the thing you could listen to the music on back in
iPod?
Yeah,
it was an iPod, and then
iPod.
your iPhone and your iWhatever and your iWatch, and you know, now we're 100 iterations into all these things, and I have this drawer in my house which I call the Apple carcass drawer. It's just a bunch of carcasses.
Oh, you better be careful. That drawer will straight up catch on fire one day.
Yeah, that's probably true. But it's you know, things I couldn't live without that I now live without.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, we've talked about this before. What if you you didn't buy a new phone every year or every 2 years? Maybe you bought a new phone every 5 years, right? Saving that $1,000 that you didn't spend for those three. Anyway, the short of it is, stop spending so much damn money, people.
Like, remember that sketch you showed me yesterday?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Don't buy stuff.
Yeah. That's just my new book, How to Buy Things That You Save Up For. How to purchase with saved money. And then the whole bit is like, what is this saved money you speak of? Where do we get that from? Again, it's a thing, people. You can save up for things. You don't need every new gadget or car that comes your way.
Agreed. So on that note, I was looking also into how the market has been doing, and the year for now for the NASDAQ is about 10%, at least 2 days ago.
Yeah, because the small cap stocks and the tech stocks have recovered a little bit.
They're kind of recovering. I mean, last year they were down up to 15%.
Yeah.
So it's a good bump up.
Yeah.
But they haven't got back to the level they were last year.
So some people know this, some people don't. That small caps and mid caps tend to lead you into a problem and out of it quickly, right? So the first thing to react when things aren't going well are the smalls and mids, but when the first thing to lead out of a bear market, for lack of a better word, is typically the smalls and mid caps, because they're the most nimble. They're the ones that can make change the quickest. So that's why maybe we're seeing a little bit more action in the small and mid cap arena, and we're actually seeing some growth in the international markets for the first time in a long time, and certainly better than the domestic markets.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Europe didn't fare as bad as it was expected, despite everything that happened. Even with the companies shut down, with the gas and energy crises they had. Yeah. How do you? What's the plural of that?
I don't know, Ryan. What's the plural?
Crisis size.
Crisis.
Crisis is.
That sounds religious. I don't think I want to go there. But the reality is, Europe. Yes, they've kind of figured out their fuel, not completely, but they've figured out how to deal with the fuel issues, easy for me to say, stemming from the Ukrainian crisis.
And winter being close to over. Helpful.
Yeah, these short winters are really helping out now.
Yeah, thanks, climate change caused by the oil. So now we need less oil.
Whoa. my head just exploded.
Yeah, let's just solve our problem by just really leaning into climate change.
I think that'll fix everything.
That'd be good. I have a question for you when we get back, though, because you're talking about inflation, and which my question is about deflation as well, because I ran across like one of those explain it like I'm five things.
Yeah.
And I found something to be very counterintuitive
about deflation.
I
can't wait to hear this.
All right. We'll be back after a message from this sponsor. Welcome back to It's Only Money. I'm Ryan, and I'm here with financial advisors from Edgewater Family Wealth, Tammy and Scott Brown. If you need to get a hold of these gentlemen, edgewaterfamilywealth.com is the website. Plus, that's the place to go for all of the past episodes, financial talks with Tammy, blogs, and more. Maybe there's free candy. I don't know. Click around the website. They haven't told me one way or another. There's a candy. What's the candy? Free candy? No. Okay. They're shaking their heads. No, I flew too close to the sun.
You did.
But good morning, and thank you to our listeners for being here. And before we went to break, I had a question about deflation, because everybody, the talk of the town is inflation. It's the belle of the ball right now, as far as like news stories.
You're going to go the other way.
I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah.
Because for me, as a dum-dum, I'm not a financial advisor. For me, I'm like the question was posed on the internet that I saw, and it was like, hey, okay, so we're in inflation right now. So when are all the prices going to go back down? And then a very smart person in the comments, I'm assuming they were smart. They go, oh, you don't want the price. They won't. First of all, they won't go back down, and you don't want them to, because that's deflation, and deflation is actually worse.
Yeah, it can be more shocking to the system when a company loses its pricing power. They can spiral quickly, and then now you're chasing something you probably can't cash because you're going to have to lay off people. Your profit margins evaporate, right? You had a profit margin based on this, that, or the other. You know, you charged $1 for your widget. Now you can only charge 90 cents. You only had a 10% profit margin to begin with. That's a problem. I mean, Tesla is, kind of walking back some pricing on some of their models. I don't know if you would call that disinflation for their pricing model, but I mean, as we joked before, it's Elon. There may be a method to his madness, because he's reducing the price of cars and talking about building in his own city in Texas, all at the same time.
Oh, I can't wait to move to Muskville.
I think it's going to be called Doge City.
When you tell me a billionaire is buying a city and building a city with walls around it, that means I go, you know something I don't, and it seems like you're walling yourself in and us out.
Yeah, it's I don't know what that means long term, but it will be fun to watch.
I mean, historically, company-run cities have just been the best.
Yeah.
And then you go to the company store, which is so convenient and very well priced. And then, oh, wait, no, those are terrible.
Yeah, historically, that doesn't work very well.
But there are people that have their own city in a weird way. And I know Mark Cuban has one, but I think that was like almost like a joke for him that he bought the town from his friend.
Yeah, I don't know the details on that, but many of them have their own islands.
Yes.
Lots of rich people have their own
with
islands.
like bunkers in them.
Yeah, because
there's like legit tech bros out there that are like, tech millionaires that are afraid of the things coming that they had a hand in creating.
Yes, they see what they've done and now they're running away from it.
Yeah, that's the funniest version of me too. When I see the news story and it's like a nerd who's like spent his whole life programming, and then they go to his island and he's got like AK-47s and he's got guns, and you're like, this just looks weird. Like, even though you have all the guns, I could beat you up.
You don't know how to use those.
Yeah, you're not top heavy. You shoot a couple, fall over.
Yeah, you'd miss everything you shot at. Yeah. Yes. So it's funny because we were talking earlier about robots.
Yeah.
And speaking of technology, and I saw a graph the other day I was sharing with Tammy that in 1995, there was 1/2 of one robot for every 1,000 workers. That number today is 2 robots for every 1,000. So like a 4-fold increase, Tammy pointed out. And you say, well, why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant because as wages increase at the lower end of the pay scale, maybe for entry-level jobs, maybe it's that first job you had at McDonald's, or that for me bagging groceries at Publix, or whatever it was. Well, I mean, now I go to Publix and they've got me convinced to bag my own groceries and check myself out, right? It won't be long. I'll be unloading the truck again for free. So, I mean, it's fascinating to me that, people say, well, we've got to increase the earnings for entry-level jobs. And I get that. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with that concept. What I am saying is the one thing's for sure is in a capitalistic society, companies strive to create profitability and improve that profitability. And in order to do that, it's cheaper to have a robot than it is a person 9 times out of 10, right? Because robots don't call in sick. They don't ask for days to go to see the kindergarten teacher. They don't complain about conditions. They don't sue you. I mean, there's numerous things that robots don't do that employers like. I still don't think it's going to replace most people, at least anytime soon. But that is a reality. If you put yourself in a position where your job can be replaced by technology, you might want to consider doing something. I mean, the common discussion these days, and Andrew Yang's whole premise for being when he ran for president, was, talking about the dislocation of workers and what technology was doing possibly. And he used the example of truck drivers. And we've talked about this before is, there's going to come a time when these self-driving trucks actually work and stop killing people. I hope. And when that happens,
and if they don't, we'll just use them as war machines.
Yeah, we'll just use them to run over
the
enemy.
Tank drivers are out of a job.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, that's 500,000 truck drivers get displaced all at once. That won't be pretty. I don't know if you've seen truck drivers, but they haven't had their coffee. They're kind of mean.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a job, they're going to be really mean. So we need to his point was we need to kind of figure that his solution was UBI, which I don't even want to get into because it makes people angry. But there's numerous ideas and solutions, retraining and all of these things. But be aware that as you're entering the workforce, if you're young, be aware, look around, read up, figure out, hey, what job could possibly be replaced and maybe go in a different direction.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I think a lot of people are coming up, especially recently, with the rampant just growth, and I would call it out of control, unfettered AI.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are realizing their jobs are on the line that never even thought they would be.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a copywriter or something, right? I mean, I don't know how this has happened to you guys, but for me, it's happened numerous times. I've been to conferences over the last month or two, and every conference I've been to, some wise guy reads a speech that was written by Chat GPT. Am I saying that right?
GPT.
Yeah.
GPT. And it's, pretty good.
Yeah.
The speech is pretty good. In fact, the head of technology for the firm I clear through, which is Raymond James, was sitting next to me a few days ago, and he was reading to us. He had plugged into Chat GPT. I'm going to a conference. Like, he gave it all the parameters. I'm going to a conference. The people at this conference are high-end financial advisors that manage X amount of dollars, have this many clients that on average have this kind of wealth and have these kinds of problems. And then the Chat GPT wrote this amazing, speech for him to give to us. Now, he didn't reveal that at first that it had not been written by him. So, for a second I was like, man, this is good stuff. And then I realized a robot wrote it, so again, these things are going to happen. I don't think they're going to happen overnight. I've argued that where there's dislocation, there's opportunity, because a lot of these things are going to need people behind the scenes to run them, to build the algorithms, to do the AI. I mean, computers are only as good as we make them.
Exactly.
But nonetheless, people will be initially dislocated. And I think that's the message here that if I could give to a young person or a person who maybe is in that field is, open your eyes, look around and say, okay, maybe this isn't the job I want because it looks to me, it appears to me and everything I look at and read and hear that maybe this isn't going to be a job in 5 or 10 years, and get out in front of it.
Yeah, I saw a really interesting story on ghost kitchens. And a ghost kitchen, for the listener, is if you pull up an Uber, you'll see a name of a restaurant that says it's near you, and it'll be a weird kind of a name that you're like, I've never heard of this place. Where does this come from? And they're very generic kind of sounding names. And then I always thought like, oh, okay, like somebody opened up, I think the original example I saw was like a Mr. Beast burger.
Mm.
It's this YouTuber basically franchised out like an extra part of like Denny's kitchen here in town. And it was out of the Denny's here. But what they've done is they've now consolidated them all into one like building. So it'll be like 40 restaurants, quote unquote restaurants, all in one building. And with varying degrees of food. It'll be pizza, sushi, Korean food, and it all comes out of one place. And they've got like conveyor belts of like bags of food, and like the different kitchens are all like just pumping stuff out. No middleman, no waiters, and it's like a food robot essentially.
Yeah, I'm looking actually as you're saying that. I'm looking at my Uber Eats, which I use far too frequently.
Yeah, they'll get you.
Because if you need a cookie at 10 at night, buddy, you can get you one. My wife's like, who's that at the door? I'm like, no, buddy, go back to bed.
It's a burglar. Don't worry.
But I mean, there's these fresh from scratch. There's so-and-so's, fresh kitchen. They got like you said, they have these generic names and these generic choices of foods. And I'm starting to grow wise to that. And I've tried a couple of them. They're
all right. The food's all right.
Okay. Yeah.
It's nothing spectacular, but what that's doing, it's a consolidation of restaurants, which then hurts a mom and pop business that comes out, and they're not expressively clear about it. So that's just another one of those like, well, they can't get me. I serve food.
Right.
Yeah, they can. Just keep your head on a swivel right now. It's a weird time that we live in. And we can talk more about that when we come back with more It's Only Money here on the radio. Welcome back to It's Only Money here on the radio. I'm Ryan. I'm here with financial advisors from Edgewater Family Wealth, Scott Brown and Tammy. And the website, of course, is edgewaterfamilywealth.com. And you're hanging out with us. And Scott, it surprised me a little bit last segment when you said that you Uber Eats cookies to yourself at 10 o'clock at night. And that's a lot of money for a cookie onto a credit card.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure. I'm going to confess right now that I have had a $10 cookie at 10 o'clock at night when I'm desperate for sugar. And I don't want my wife to catch me.
Yeah, I love that you're a smart financial man, but every now and then you're like, I'm going to blow it all on cookies.
Actually, if there were a thing that I would blow all my money on, it would be cookies.
It's funny because you're such like an in shape, like run around active guy. You eat cookies in the first place.
That's why I work out, so I could eat cookies.
Are most of the points on your credit card Uber-based cookies?
They are. I give 10,000 Uber points from cookies alone. I mean, my chocolate chip budget is very high.
That's interesting. I don't get a lot of points. I don't pay. I'm just so used to not having a credit card because I pay for stuff on a debit card most of the time. So I'm now like trying to focus on like, let's put it on the card. Let's get the points because the points are important. Full honesty, don't even know what the points do. I'm sure I could look it up, but I'm like, I just have them now, and I assume I'll have them till I die. Yeah, and then the points will just go away.
No, when you go to heaven, they check how many points do you have, and then that determines where you sit. What room you get, and all all the accoutrements. So no, I mean it's funny you bring that up because I just heard a speaker, an attorney, and a technology person talking about digital assets. We all are starting to enter this brave new world where everything's digital. Let's face it, money's even current fiat currency is digital. It's just numbers on a statement, right? Yeah. It's not like you're walking around with your life savings in your pocket, hopefully.
Right. Where people take cash still, but they're annoyed by it.
Yeah, people are like, what is this? They hold it up and they stare at it. Who's this dead guy? Was he somebody important?
I gave somebody a taped $10 bill the other day, and they looked at me like I slapped their mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, it still spends, sir. He actually wouldn't let me use it.
Yeah. It's people are picky about what currency you're handing them these days. But back to the digital asset thing, it's if let's say you're a business person, and I'll use myself as an example. I use American Express to pay a lot of the bills I have at the office, which can be substantial. It's there's 30 employees and there's revenue running through and payroll and blah blah blah, right? So I have a substantial amount of American Express points. And what he literally asked me the question, he's like, well, who's going to get those if you die? And I'm like, what?
Those transfer?
Yeah. So he said like that and crypto and NFTs or whatever digital stuff you have. I don't know.
Where are my Bored Apes gonna go?
Exactly. It's now attorneys are having to figure this out. How do we leave digital assets to people? How do they transfer? Is it on a document? Because you can't, it's fluid, right? The amount of points I had yesterday is less than the amount of points I have today, or vice versa. So how do you account for if you are a business person or just a regular person running through life and you buy your groceries or whatever, as you said, for the points, right?
Yeah.
Marriott points or American Express points or Delta points or whatever they are. Sometimes that could be like, 2 first-class tickets worth of points, right? And that's a substantial amount of money. So when you die, it would suck if they, died with you, right? So I think it's important as people are starting to plan, thinking about wills and estates and trusts. Well, now you got to worry about the digital assets. Well, where's my crypto gonna go? Well, I don't know what it's worth anymore, but saying it was worth something, you would probably want somebody to get that. So again, for me, the one that got my attention was the American Express points. Like, oh, that's a thing somebody would want. So how do we deal with that? So I think one of the things we got to figure out is, and lawyers got to figure it out right quick because they don't know, is how do we deal with that?
Now, when you first of all, I just bought a plane ticket and I didn't realize you could buy airline miles or airline points after you purchase the ticket. They're like, well, for $49 more, you can buy 2,000 American Airlines points. And I was like, that feels like a good deal. I don't know what they're doing, so I bought them. So it's good to know that if I die, they go somewhere.
Yeah.
When you as a financial advisor, do you recommend like throwing everything onto a credit card and paying it off because it's better than cash if you can do that on time?
Yeah.
Because with regular cash, you don't get any bonuses whatsoever.
Nope.
And
I do.
And I'm assuming the credit card companies know most people aren't going to pay on time. So they're making up for you, Johnny Good credit guy, just raking it all in.
Yeah, credit card companies hate me. And that wasn't always the case. I was just like anybody else as a young person. I was paying, $20 a month on that $800 or $50 a month on that $800 that I could never seem to catch when I was younger. But there's way more of those kinds of people who have a $10,000 balance and are paying the minimum payment, which is their favorite thing in the whole world. There's way more of them than people who charge and then pay off the balance at the end of the month, right? So I'm sucking up my Amex points and I'm paying off the balance. So they're getting money from the merchant, to be fair, and the points aren't dollar for dollar. So they're coming out. I think American Express is going to be okay despite what I'm doing, but I am not their normal customer. They want people, especially more Visa and MasterCard type cards. American Express, maybe more of those people pay their card off on a monthly basis. But yes, I would highly recommend. I have 2 cards. I have a business card, which I use American Express, and I use a Marriott Visa for my personal life. And I distinguish the two because obviously one's a write-off and one is not. And I use the Marriott points. If my wife wants to go to the beach and stay at the hotel, I'm like, we'll use the points to pay for that. And she'll buy groceries and she'll buy whatever. The Amex is used for my business so that I can delineate that and make sure when my accountant asks, hey, was this all business? I can say, yeah, that was all business. So in both cases, I use the points, and in both cases, I pay them off every single month. The other thing is, talking about debit cards, I told my kids to stop using debit cards because, this is the way it works. If somebody steals your code or scans your pocket or whatever it is these idiots do nowadays to steal your information, and then they bleed your account of the 10 grand you had in your account, right? Now you got to fight with the bank for 3 weeks to get it back, right? And in the meantime, things are bouncing. You don't have money to eat, whatever.
Yeah.
Bad idea, in my opinion, because if they steal your credit card number or they use your credit card, that's Visa's problem, right? You call them up like, I didn't do that. Okay. Then they go to bat and go try to figure out how to get their money back, right? But that didn't come out of your account. So I think that's why I choose and tell my kids, please don't use your debit card.
I learned that lesson the hard way, which is they drained my bank account. And because it was a debit card, it definitely mattered. And that scared me to just never use a debit card at a gas station ever again, because I think I got the skimmers.
Yeah, they got those skimmers.
And now there's the new one. I don't know if you know this one. There's a problem with ATM scans because what they're doing, they're putting glue they'll like take a card, put a little bit of glue on it, stick it into the card reader. So then the card reader just kind of becomes non-functional, but the tap part still works. So you can tap your card to log into the ATM. Now, when you pull your card out of an ATM, it shuts it down, right? Like you close the window, you're done. When you tap, if you walk away, it's still open for like a significant amount of time. So the scam was like people would go put their card in, somebody would come behind them and go, "Oh, the card reader's not working," but you can tap right there, and then they tap and they walk away, and they'll sneak in behind them and just drain their account.
Lovely.
Yep. Always be aware. I was almost impressed by how low tech that was.
Yeah,
but the people they had to, because they were ATM cards or debit cards, they had to fight the bank, and the bank was like, no. Like this one lady went back and forth 3 times, and they all denials. The only reason she was able to finally get her money back months later was because she contacted, CBS.
Right.
And then they were able to, like, they're like, "Oh, we'll fix it."
Yeah, we're sorry now.
Yeah. So debit cards and they don't help you at all. That I wish I would have known that. Because with credit card, at least you're building credit, It's,
yeah.
There's stuff too. Like I rented for a long time an apartment. You can make it so you can go to the office and be like, "Hey, put this on my credit report."
Right.
And I didn't know that either. So I didn't have like the good like rental history for a while. There's little tricks that they don't ever teach you. And you have to just find them out on accident.
No. And it's funny. Somebody said, I heard a speaker yesterday at an event I was a speaker at, but the speaker before me was talking about he had flown in from Chicago or someplace to speak, and he was talking about financial education, teaching, which we're getting. So he said, we don't do that. And I said, well, actually, in our state, we're getting ready to do that. We're preparing, and numerous states are preparing academics that relate to checkbooks and credit and all these things you're talking about. It's fascinating to me. And to be fair, my parents really didn't talk to me about this stuff either. But if you have a parent who's willing to talk to you about it and make you pay attention even when you don't want to, that's a good thing. And we can talk about that more when we come back.
All right. You're listening to It's Only Money, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to It's Only Money here on the radio. I'm Ryan, and I'm here with financial advisors Tammy and Scott Brown with Edgewater Family Wealth. Again, EdgewaterFamilyWealth.com is that website you want to go to. And if you go to Edgewater Family Wealth, you call the number, you get a hold of them, and you start your journey down the path to retirement or whatever it is, because they actually do so much more than just retirement planning. Scott himself has said like it's a bit like a financial therapist in a way. Like you're taking care of not only your money, but also you're setting expectations. And you've said they train you train them on how to deal with things. How much of the conversation in your business is just not about money when you're talking with a client?
It varies by the client, but I would say there is no conversation, 0 conversations I've had in 36 years that are exclusively about money. Money is the backdrop. Money is maybe the starter.
It's the theme.
It's the kindling to the fire. But the reality is I've had many conversations. I actually had one this morning that was almost exclusively not about money. It was more of a mental health conversation. And partially, how will money play into my need to maybe take some time away or do some traveling or do some soul searching, or, when I go to bed tonight, do I have enough money to have options? That's part of the conversation, but it was more, this actual conversation was more about mental health and well-being.
Is that because like money and stress are so closely tied?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, 90% of divorces are based on money, which adds to stress. I mean, like anytime I've woken up at 3:00 in the morning, bright-eyed, going like, "Oh my God, where do I have enough to get through the next year?"
Yeah. No, it's very, money's very, it can be if you let it. People I was talking yesterday to somebody. I was in this same event last night talking about uncertainty. Human beings hate uncertainty. They hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. And when they get up in the morning, if human beings didn't at least have the illusion of certainty, we all kid ourselves. Like, there's no guarantee, A, you're getting out of bed in the morning. There's no guarantee that you won't open your front door and tanks aren't rolling down the street. There's no guarantee that a meteor won't hit the house next door. There's no guarantee of anything. But we convince ourselves that, I'm going to wake up. It's going to look a lot like yesterday. The birds are going to be singing. I'm going to, do this and do that and go to work and everybody's going to love me and yada, yada, yada. These are the things we tell ourselves. But the reality is there's a lot of uncertainty. Economics are very uncertain. People have jobs that pay them high six figures sometimes and get fired. And then they go, whoa, I was making 20 grand a month. Now we're making $0 a month. How does that look? Talk about uncertainty. So it is stressful. And some people wake up in the morning and go, I don't know how I'm going to pay the electric bill. I've been that guy. It wasn't that long ago that I've forgotten how that feels. Yes, money is very stressful. And the point is that when I have conversations with people and you say, well, what about really rich people? Let's say somebody's worth $5 million, $10 million, right? You would think that those people would have less uncertainty. They would be like, hey, Scott, what's up? I'm good. I don't need to talk. No.
Really?
It's all context, right? Because people with a lot of money like having a lot of money. They don't want to have less money than the lot of money they already got, right? So, we always think we need more than we have. And I don't care how much money you have. People think they need more than they have. That is a stressor no matter what, because, you develop habits, right? If you're making 50 grand a year, you have certain habits, and you might, as Americans, we typically run our spending right up to that 50,000, right? And if you make 100,000, you go, oh, cool, I can do more stuff and get more stuff. And you run your life up to that 100,000, right? And, I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. I would argue on average, it's bad for your mental health if you're living right up against the edge of your income, which a lot of people do. So yes, a big portion of my job is really providing people peace of mind. I like to think, and I really work hard at, when you leave my office, you're not going to be a financial wizard. You're not going to understand price to earnings, price to sales, price to book. You're not going to understand alpha, beta, standard deviation, and R squared. You're not going to understand those things.
I mean, I do, but I didn't want to rub it in anybody's face.
You're obviously the exception that understands everything I just said.
You're different, Ryan.
I do night classes with Tammy.
Yeah. Frankly, I don't know what I just said, but the reality is what I want you to leave feeling is that you're okay. Because that's what people want. People want to be safe. They want to be comfortable. They want to, again, go to their kid's birthday party and not worry about money. They want to go to the wedding and not worry about money. They want to go put gas in their car and not worry about money. And it's natural. You're going to worry. I worry about money sometimes. But the reality is, my job, I think, is to provide people that peace of mind that once or twice a year they come in for a full-blown evaluation, or when they call me in a fit of panic, I want them to leave that conversation believing that they're going to be okay. And I would tell them, if I really said, look, you're off the rails here, you can't keep buying a new Ferrari every month, then I would tell them that. Now, the truth of the matter is I don't have clients like that for the most part. But yes, I think what people want, they don't know they want this. They don't know what they want from their financial advisor. I had this conversation again yesterday with somebody. Apparently I had a lot of conversations yesterday with somebody about, people go to a financial advisor because they believe that financial advisor has the secret, right, Tammy? This guy or this gal, she knows. I've heard from my friends, they know how to pick the stocks and the bonds that are going to outperform everybody. I can brag to my friends that I have the best financial advisor in town. And then they believe that for about a year or two, and then the market cycles through up and down, down and up, and then they go, that's the wrong advisor. They don't have secrets at all.
They don't know.
They just keep telling me to be patient and go through long term and buy quality products and talk to me about taxes and planning and trusts and wills. They do not have secrets. They're going to fire that advisor and find another one and go in and say, hey, I have this current advisor. Here's my statement. Here's the stuff they put me in. It's not secret stuff. It's not working out like I think it should. Do you have secret stuff? And then that advisor Says yes.
Of course I do.
Of course I have the secret stuff.
Did they not have the secret stuff?
Oh, that's terrible. They don't have the
not?
secret
That's
stuff.
because I got all the secret
I
stuff.
got it right here in this drawer, right here, right below the scotch.
Yeah.
I keep the secret stuff. And then the client goes, oh, good, right? Because the advisor, he or she doesn't care. She just wants the money, right? They want to manage the money. And then that goes on for 2 or 3 years. And then the client comes to the conclusion, well, I've done it again. I've picked the advisor who doesn't have the secret stuff, and so on and so forth. I mean,
it sounds like bad dating. Like you've been hurt. You meet a new financial advisor. He's like, "Come here, baby. I know all the money is. I'll take care of you. I'll tell you about it." And it turns out he's also the worst, and you're like, you leave just as broken.
Yes. No. I love you, I swear. I'm going to treat you well like you deserve to be treated. No, and it's like you go to the trainer and you got the donut in your hand. You're like, so what do you got for me? You got some pills, you got some creams, there's a powder I can make a milkshake out of, and then I'm going to have 6-pack abs. And the trainer's like, well, no, I mean, you got to do the push-ups and the sit-ups. And you're not my trainer. You're no good. I'm going on to the next person. So it's the same. It's true in all of life. If it's a shortcut, if it's an easy decision, if it's the easy way, it's likely not the right way. And the thing that I try to tell people, and you're right, setting expectations is what it's all about. If the advisor says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to beat the S&P," or "Oh yeah, that person down the street and in the office down the street there that I have lunch with every day, he's terrible, she's terrible," right? If they set that expectation that they're going to beat the market or be smarter than the person down the street or know which stock's going to double overnight or what the Fed's going to do or who's going to get elected president and come on, stop it. If they set that expectation, then they got to live with it, right? Because then the client's like, all right. And then a year later, you've done none of that stuff. You're going to be in trouble. So I set the expectation early. No crystal ball here. I don't have it. It's not hidden in a drawer somewhere. I am buying quality things, quality stocks, quality bonds, things that pay me a dividend, companies that I think are going to be around for the next 20 years. And then I'm going to deal with your taxes. I'm going to deal with the implications of the stocks and bonds that you buy. I'm going to talk to you about planning for your kids. I'm going to talk to you about college. I'm going to talk to you about retirement. I'm going to talk to you about sequence of returns. I'm going to talk to you about saving costs on whatever products you may or may not buy. I'm going to talk to you about trusts and wills and estates. Most of which I don't do, but I can help you have access to people who do and walk you through that process. So again, I think that where people go wrong, and I use the word therapist, obviously I'm not a therapist, but in this world, in this realm, I certainly have attributes of one. And I certainly have had people sit in my office and weep. I have had people in my office very upset and sad and angry. And I used to say this about Little League. I coached Little League for 7 years. I said, I've had the drunk parent. I've had the angry parents. I've had the sad parents. So again, it's more about the relationship and walking people through 20, 30, 40 years of investing and the emotions that go with that.
Financial Sherpa. He's the man that has the tools to get you to the top of that financial mountain, but you got to, walk yourself there. But listen to the Sherpa. I just like saying Sherpa.
It is a fun word.
It is.
Sounds sharp.
But if you want to get a hold of these gentlemen, you go to edgewaterfamilywealth.com. That's where you go. And Scott will listen to you. He'll talk you through it. It's a very, very easy process for something as stressful as money. These are the gentlemen you want to talk to. So edgewaterfamilywealth.com. And plus links to all the past episodes. We got video, all that kind of stuff. And Financial Talks with Tammy. That's what the people go crazy for the most part. Number one part of that website is Financial Talks with Tammy. And we will be back next time. Scott, Tammy from Edgewater Family Wealth.
Have a good one.
Happy weekend.
All right. We'll see you next time on It's Only Money.
Yeah, and clearly people are rich, right? Or wealthy. You don't have to be rich. I like the term wealthy better. I mean, to rich reminds me of like the Monopoly guy or something. But, there are people, there are regular people.
Now that guy I trust. You don't see the problem, Scott? You don't have a monocle.
Monocle is, now, if you can meet a guy with a monocle, I mean, like, I'm all in.
What was his financial advice? He said buy Park Place?
Where is that?
Where is that? I can't find it.
Tune in to It's Only Money with Scott Brown from Edgewater Family Wealth, Sunday mornings at 7 on Real Radio 104.1. Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Edgewater Family Wealth is not a broker-dealer, is independent of RJFS.